Okay. Okay, and turn that off. And we are on. Hi, everybody.
Hello.
Welcome to another episode of Have You Seen This with Frank and Sarah. I'm Frank.
I'm Sarah.
Yes. And this episode, we're going to talk about our all-time favorite movies. And I'm kind of nervous about this one. I'm not going to lie. I'm kind of nervous.
It's going to be great.
It's going to be great. It's going to be great because it's your favorite movie and this is my favorite movie. So I'm kind of afraid how you respond to my movie, and I'm kind of afraid how I'm going to respond to your movie. It's just like,
So much anxiety. It'll be great.
I know.
We need the Halloween soundtrack in the background.
No, copyright's going to get flagged. I wish, though. I wish. Because it's such an awesome theme and iconic. I can't believe it's been a month already, honestly, because I was like, oh, man, it's like right here.
I know. I was, I think it was Wednesday where I was like, oh, shit, I got to watch my movies.
Like last weekend, I got so overwhelmed because I had to do an interview with Pinland. And then I set up the interview with Richard Jackson, and I knew I had to do. I'm like, oh my God, that's like 8 movies I need to watch in the next like 2 weeks.
You're like, I may have overcommitted.
I've overstimulated, but it's okay. Yes. Oh, Luke is here. Hello, Luke.
Oh.
Hello. Okay, so who do we go to start with? Are we going to start with Halloween or Bridesmaids?
We could go either. Where do you want to start?
I'm not sure. Rock, paper, scissors.
Rock, paper, scissors.
Okay, rock, paper, scissors.
Wait.
Oh, jeez. Okay. One more time. Rock, paper, scissors. Shoot. Okay, and also it lined up with Luke. He said Bridesmaids.
Great.
So we'll go with Bridesmaids. Okay, you explain your movie and why you liked it. Okay, go ahead.
Bridesmaids is my favorite movie of all time. And it's funny, though, because it wasn't always, like, the first time I watched it, I was like, this movie's kind of weird. I don't know how I feel about it. But then my friends all kept quoting it. My friend Kenny, actually, we went to high school with him. He would quote it all the time. And I'm like, and I learned all the movie quotes before I put context to them.
Oh, okay.
So then the next time I watch a movie, I'm like, this is hysterical. These quotes, these one-liners are amazing. But anyways, Bridesmaids is the quintessential story. Well, it's really not, because not a lot of films have been made about this part of the wedding story, but it's about the bridesmaid experience of having a friend who gets engaged. Lillian gets engaged. Annie is her friend from childhood. And Annie is just in like the dark night of the soul, like in the depths of despair. Like her business failed during the recession. She's living with really weird roommates, like has a shitty job, and her friend gets engaged and she's like, oh my God, I'm so happy for you, while internally dying.
Yes.
And it's basically just like the evolution of like meeting the other bridesmaids and coming together and all the things you have to do as bridesmaids, like trying on your dresses and planning the bridal shower and planning the bachelorette. And it's just like this complete, and then there's the villain, who is Helen, the new best friend, right? So it's the new best friend versus the old best friend dynamic. And it creates some very cringeworthy, but like internally dying, hysterical dynamics throughout the movie. And it's just this awesome story of female friendship, which I love, in a very, very authentic and funny way. And I'm not going to we'll probably give away the end at some point, but basically, they go through, and then they stop being friends, and then she gets married, and everything's fine in the end. But I just, the story, Annie's story throughout, really is just something. I just love her dark night of the soul, and also her mom is the best. So that is kind of a brief overview of Bridesmaids, but I'm so excited to hear what you thought.
Okay, here's the thing. So this is what the show is all about. It's about like learning other people's movies and trying to get comfortable with that. This genre is like dramedy, and it always makes me uncomfortable, because I remember my friend Whitney, who's watching. Hello, Whitney. She would recommend me movies like this, where there was one example, like My Idiot Brother, where it's like really funny and then it gets dramatic, like sharp dramatic, and it never fully recovers. With this one, it does. There's enough comedy, enough lightheartedness, but like this movie is like a blend of drama and comedy. Like it goes hand to hand in this. And I had to take notes because I was watching the movie, and it was funny today because I woke up today and I'm like, I have to make sure I'm writing everything down, make sure everything, all my thoughts are there. And as I was writing this, I was nervous because I was like, oh God, I forgot all the funny parts. I literally forgot all the funny parts because this movie is like the perfect script. It's like in the first 15 minutes, her world's established. By the 30-minute mark, like she's been told she's going to be the bridesmaid, and then like the 30-minute mark, it goes to this and that and another, and like it follows suit. And there is a pattern to the movie, and that's really great that I noticed while watching. I was like, oh man, that's so cool. And then there's like great symbolism in this movie, and then I was like, oh geez, I didn't know that. It wasn't like I was watching the movie and I was like really thinking about it afterwards. I was like, oh, that's kind of interesting. I didn't think about it that way, but like I was watching it and it was great though. I like it because there's so many underlying things. Even the joke, you know how they say like, oh, I like Wilson Phillips.
Yes.
And that song has a quote that has to do with the theme of the movie. No one else can change your life except you.
Yep.
And that's what she has to do, is to dig herself out of it, the Kristen Wiig character.
Ooh, I just got the chills in my back.
Yes. And then Annie, and like even their names all have to do with something. So like when you think of the name Annie, you think of poor little orphan Annie, because she can't really evolve or that, or she's poor and she wants to be more than that. And then you have her friend Lillian, which is about like life and lilies and what's the purity. And then you have like Helen, the unachievable goal, like Helen of Troy. And it's like, oh my God, like all these things are embedded in the script of this silly movie where they're like shitting in sinks and in the street. But okay, so here's my notes. I have to go through them because I'm a scatterbrain, so I'm going to go through this. Okay, so it establishes Annie as someone who's trying to be perfect. So in the opening scene, it's perfect. So there's like comical sex scene, but the thing is, at the end of that sex scene, she's pretending to be something she's not. She wants to be perfect, so she sets herself up like that before John Hamm wakes her up.
I mean, you gotta brush the teeth in the morning too, like very important.
Yep. Of course, after what happened, that. Yeah. But she's pretending to be perfect when she doesn't have to be, because immediately he's like, I want you to get the fuck out of here. He's like, I don't want you to be here. I want you to get out of here.
I don't want to say this, but I really want you to leave.
I really want you to leave. And it's just so like, oh my God, that's what she has to deal with. And like I said, this is like the perfect script. So like in the first 5-10 minutes, maybe 15, I think it's a little bit further than that, because I think you have to introduce the mom and then the store. But when she sits down with her friend Lillian at the restaurant, Lillian lays down the movie like, you're addicted to self-loathing. Like you are, you're in a sucky situation. That guy does not love you, and it's almost like you want that. You want that drama in your life. And she establishes that. And that's all in the first 5 minutes, because like the whole movie has to be that, because even Lillian's like, well, you have to, get back into what you love, and like the bakery. I know it's been a couple of years, but you have to get back into like serving yourself. And then the bottom falls out. Lillian says that she's going to get married, right? And it's like, oh geez, because
magazine, Patty.
Yep. And the thing that's great about Lillian in this movie is that she perfectly represents like where people, like, how you imagine people like, okay, if you're going to be perfect, you're going to get married at this age and find somebody at this. And then, because that's not Annie. Annie is nowhere near her goals. Like she thought she was, but then the bottom fell out, and now she's been spiraling down ever since then. And then she has to meet the other bridesmaids, and they're all sort of perfect, but there's like an underlying sadness to all of them, because everybody sees like the tip of the iceberg. Because like, oh, you have a new husband, you went to Disney World, you have Helen, she doesn't have any female friends. Are you okay? No,
I'm loving this. It's so
okay. I'm sorry, but like, Helen doesn't have any female friends, and it's so funny because the whole movie, Annie has like beef with Helen, but like if you pay attention to what Helen says and all the things that happen, like Helen's not happy. Helen is
miserable.
Helen is miserable. Like the whole I know they say like, oh, it's Annie, it's your fault, but like it's kind of Helen's fault during that speech, the opening speech where they keep taking the microphone, because they're both competing. And not only that, but what Annie is saying is that she basically sort of like became Lily's friend by accident. Like their husbands were on a trip and they just talked to each other, and like that became her bestest friend ever. And because she doesn't have that many female friends, and what do you call it? What else happens? Oh man, I lost my train of thought. But like Helen, like even has like drugs. Like here, take this. Meanwhile,
The
like
value, and then the
yeah, the
kids,
Valium,
the step kids, like
the
fuck you,
stepkids.
Helen,
Yeah,
right?
exactly, right. And then like she's not really creative on her own. She stole
All the
Annie's
ideas.
idea,
Mhm.
and she doesn't even know to do the simple things like, hey, just go to the apartment where Lillian's living at. Like, why not just go there?
Right.
But like she doesn't know these simple things, and it just oof, oof. But anyway, they all have like an underlying thing, because even like the blonde woman who has the kids, like she hates her kids. And then
She's
like
like, I cracked the blanket in half.
crack the blanket in half. Yes, there's so much cum. And then what do you call it? The girl with the red hair, the girl from the office, Erin. Like
Yep.
she has like a weird relationship with her boyfriend or her new
What?
husband.
That whole dynamic.
Yeah,
is
that was so weird. It's so
power
weird.
separately.
Yes, but they all have their underlying problems, even though like Annie just sees the forest before the
Perfection.
trees, you know, like she
Mhm.
just sees like the surface level, like, oh my god, all these people are better. And like honestly, the only person that is better because she accepts herself for who she is
Megan.
yes, the Melissa McCarthy
Megan,
character. Yeah,
lava.
it's coming at me like lava. You see that? It's thigh.
Megan, no, look away.
Look away. It's so oh my god. But yeah, like they all have underlying like problems or whatnot. So
Mhm.
what was the other thing? Lillian's best friend Annie tells her to do. Yep, the whole setup. And then the park scene. Oh, yeah, the park scene is a perfect example of setting up. So
Yeah,
what because yeah.
I
So
was
in the
thinking about that because it's like they can't they're on a budget. Like we're on a
yes.
budget, Rodney. We don't have money to take this thing. And then like all throughout the movie, it's just like, oh, we're going to Lady Say Soir Juju, and like we're gonna go to France, and we have these all this like extravagant, and it's like almost Lillian's journey of like going from some like coming from nothing and like not having a lot of money to like into this new lifestyle of like, oh, I'm a member of this club, and I guess
Yeah.
this is my life now, but not real. It's not really who she is.
No,
You
it's not who she is. It's like her dreams and all that. But
know?
it's Helen overcompensating to be the best friend, which is
Right.
kind of selfish on her act, but like um with Lillian, oh my god, like Lillian is totally best friends with Annie because during that park scene, it's like it's establishing their friendship. The hell they go on adventures, they're
Mhm.
together, and like that's an intimate moment for them because they're sharing the exercises, the free exercises with the random Terry Crews. I thought he was going to come in later. He never did,
I
or
know. It's
maybe
just one cameo.
it's just like one cameo. I was like, oh my god, why is Terry Crews here? And then what do you call it? But it establishes their bond and their friendship because even when they go to that Brazilian restaurant, Lillian is totally down to go there, but everyone else is kind of like, ooh, I don't know about this restaurant. But Lillian knows Annie, and they know they like going to like trying new restaurants, and Annie must, you know, have a good taste or whatever, except for this
Mhm.
place. The hell they got a food poisoning and whatnot. But that was great. Hang on. Let's see.
You are
She
doing
works
great, by the way. This is also good. I'm loving this.
yes, yes. This is why I can't see like the comedy because I'm seeing all these great little like Easter eggs and actual like good script writing because I was watching like this is actually pretty good because it fits all the beats. I like how also Annie's job is almost like a reminder of how miserable she is because she's
Mhm.
trying to sell wedding rings to happy couples and it's totally not what she is. And it's like, oh God, she's gotta, you know, deal with all these happy people coming in, like, oh, I want this wedding ring, but she has to pretend to be happy even though she's just miserable. Like
Yeah, I bet you're
Annie is
real.
miserable. Annie's absolutely miserable. Oh my
She
lord.
is.
And and then let's see. The movie perfect. Okay. Nathan pulls over. Oh my god. So that's the other thing too. So the thing that's really cool that has like symbolism, little symbology, as like Boondock Saints movie said, symbology. The symbology is Annie needs somebody to notice her for who she is and her
Mhm.
issues. And it's so funny because symbolism, her taillights are out. She has issues. And that gets the attention of Nathan because he sees her who she is and he sees through her problems, but he wants to be with her. So that's
Mhm.
the first symbolism is the broken taillights because he notices there's a flaw with her, but you know he goes towards her and it's even more symbology later on is when they're eating the carrots And he says, "Oh, that's the ugly carrot." And
Yes.
because Annie is the freaking ugly carrot, and she has the broken things, and it's like she's like, "No, no, I don't want the ugly carrot," because she wants to be perfect. And he's like, "No, you love the ugly carrot. It's like the best part."
It's the
So
lucky
that's
carrot.
yeah, he's seeing her like through her flaws. Like he wants to
Mhm.
bring out the best in her, and it comes crashing down when because like that's the first two things. Like he seeks her out. No wait, she seeks him out in those first two times. Or hang on,
Mhm.
something like that. But the third time they finally end up together, sleeping together, and then it's the exact opposite. She wakes up and he let her sleep in. He didn't wake her
Yep.
up early. He wants to start a relationship
He
with
made a
her
cappuccino for
with a
her.
cappuccino, perfect guy, nice house. And then he had like all the things, and she's like, "No, I can't deal with this. You're
And
trying to fix
it's
me."
just like a little interesting thing as I was researching the movie more in depth is there was an intentional choice in the beginning of the movie when Annie's having her sex scene, she's wearing her bra.
Yes.
Like because she can't fully be like you were saying, she can't fully
Yeah.
be herself. She can't fully let it all out, right? She has
That's
to
right.
have
She's like wearing her blanket in that scene, right?
and then in that scene, she was actually topless. So it was
Yes.
kind of like that was an intentional choice to show like she could be all of herself
Yeah, for
with
this
Nathan.
guy.
Like she could present it to him.
Exactly. Exactly. That's right, because she has the blanket on. That
Yep.
slipped past me. That's a good one though. Let's see. Lucky Carrot and then wants his best part. Hang on, I want to make sure I got everything. But yeah, throughout the movie, she has to realize to fix herself, and it's so cool because there's even more symbolism. Is that at her lowest point, she is watching the scene from Castaway, which is the point of the movie of Castaway, where Chuck, the character Chuck, loses his friend Wilson, and it's like her
Mhm.
losing Lily, and they have to fight for her life. And that's when Melissa McCarthy comes in and says, "You have to fight for your life. Fight me. I'm life."
Life's gonna keep kidding you.
Life's gonna keep hitting you, and it's so good. The script is great. And then I'm trying to remember if there's anything else. Uh, yep, she gets back into baking, and then she bakes the ugly carrot for
Yep.
him, which is great.
Mhm.
And it's about apologizing and bringing everything together. And she becomes a little bit closer to Helen towards the end when they get in the car. It's great. There's good
Yeah.
stuff here. There's good
So
stuff here.
that was like okay, you just opened my eyes to so many things. I'm like, how did I watch this movie 70 times? How have I not seen all of this beautiful symbolism? That is
Oh,
amazing.
there's even that one of the funny lines is like, "It's the 90s," and they're like, "No, it's not." And it's because she's like trying to digress back to a better time of her life, which
Right.
was the 90s. That's
Right.
why it's internalizing in her or whatever. It's like, "Oh my god, this is good stuff. I like it." Although there is my only negative about it.
Oh, let's hear it. Let's hear it.
My only negative is that some of the jokes go on too long. Like to me, like the part at the end when they're trying to get the attention of Nathan and they keep driving back, like they could cut out 5 minutes. There's already 10 minutes there. Cut out 5 minutes.
That's the point.
It's about excess. It's almost like the Wolf of Wall Street. It's just excess of comedy.
Okay,
They
it's
drive by.
just back and forth. I'm
Just,
topless. I'm
I know.
trying
I'm like,
to
okay, what she would buy topless. I was
who's
like,
driving
okay.
the car?
I
But
was like,
like the funny thing is, when I think about that scene, I think about them filming it, like how many takes of improv they had of just
that must
like
have
all
been
the
like a
different ways.
day.
And then when they had the stunt driver do like the like Fast and Furious turn.
Yes, the turn. Yes, the
Yep, yep.
180, I think. Yep. Oh my god. And speaking of that, that's so cool because that begins like the montage of her fixing herself. She's got to fix the tail lights. She's got
Right.
to hug her mom and accept that somebody loves her for who she is, because her mom was always trying to support her throughout the movie. So at that
Mhm.
point where she actually finally hugs her, and it's like, oh yes, that's great. And then she apologizes to Nathan, but he doesn't take the cake. But it is the carrot that represents what they like. So good,
Mhm.
good stuff. Good
It's
stuff.
love this. That's like part of what I really love about the movie is that it's this story, like, on a surface level, it's a story of, the expensive bridesmaids dresses and the lavish, right? Like getting married,
Hmm.
but it's really a story about Annie. And it's like her hero's
Hmm.
journey back to herself, right? And
Yeah,
I think it's so relatable because everybody's been there, right?
yeah.
We've all been the rock bottom, like, at the beginning, like,
Hmm.
honey, I think this is your rock bottom, right?
It wasn't her rock bottom.
And the thing with being in rock bottom is we can't expect it to be saved,
Yeah.
right? Like the only person who's going to pull us out of rock bottom is ourselves, and it's going
Hmm.
to be us like scratching and climbing to like get to
Mhm.
the surface, right?
Mhm.
And it's such a and I think it's something interesting that happens in adult friendships, particularly,
Mhm.
especially as you age, right? When you have childhood friends, like
Mhm.
you either grow together or you don't,
Yeah.
right? You either diverge or you take those times and strides, and there may be times in your life when one you're in different places, right? And it's
Mhm.
navigating that friendship being in a different place.
Mhm.
And it's very interesting because you have Lillian whose life is taking off, right?
Mhm.
She also has a shitty job. She doesn't love it, but she's marrying up. She's like become, I guess,
Mhm.
coming into womanhood. Like she'll be having a house. She's going into the next phase of her life, whereas
Yep.
Annie's stuck behind. And so many people find that, especially when you
Mhm.
like, your friends start having kids, like they start getting married and you're not there. It's like
Yep.
how you have to find new ways to relate to each other, and you both have to
Mhm.
put that work in.
Yep.
But also, when a person is at their lowest, like they need, at the end of the day, like it's the work they need to do on themselves. They
Mhm.
need, like, you got to go get the tail light fixed. You got to
Mhm.
like, you got to even bake a cupcake for yourself, right? Like try to
Mhm.
do anything you can to find that string of joy, or what,
Yeah.
to bring that yourself back to yourself, right?
Mhm.
In reality, the movie is really Annie's journey back to herself, right?
Yeah, it almost echoes what her mom is into. Her mom's into going to AA programs to see all the things. So it's almost like the movie is getting over, because like everyone has different addictions. Like it could be alcohol, it could be drugs, but sometimes it's addiction to like problems or self,
Yeah.
like
Drama,
drama,
Mhm.
And Annie is addicted to that basically through the whole thing because she'll start arguments and whatnot.
Mhm.
Um, and she sees herself first before everybody else in the room, basically, kind of like in situations. Like I remember, like towards the end, when it's like she's like making it all about her at this, you know, the bridal shower. It's like, no, it's not all about you, Annie. But like, it was kind of ruined by Helen in that moment too, because Helen comes in with that gift that is like over the top and it's like too much, and it
Mhm.
ruins that personal moment between Annie and Lily. But yeah, there's moments in this where it's just like, oh, you have to dig yourself out. You have to get back into your hobbies, things that make you happy, because you have to love yourself first before you could like move forward and grow as a person. And I
Right.
feel
And
like that's
it's
what happens.
also like in the dynamic with Helen, it require Helen is emotion, like Helen's not the one doing the work on herself, right?
Hmm.
Like, because Annie needs to. Like
Hmm.
she is gone kicked out of her roommate's home. She's home with her mother. She has no job. Like there's no choice but to face herself.
Yeah.
Helen, like she's unhappy. She has a miserable life, but she's provided for. Like she
Hmm.
travels. She's not at a point enough of a rock bottom where she really has to face herself.
Yeah.
And I think in those moments, like, Annie, you know, it requires Annie to be the bigger person, really. Helen's
Hmm.
not, right? Helen's not going to be the one to stop, to not give the lavish party, or because
Hmm.
that's also the only way. She thinks she has to buy her friendships, right?
Yes, that's right. Exactly that. She feels like she's not loved enough, and
Yep.
she's overcompensating. So she's not comfortable, with people
Right.
saying that they like her. So that's why she overcompensates. Like she's going to give away puppies. She's going
Mhm.
to plan a Paris trip. She's going to buy all the dresses. So she's
What
overcompensating to get that friendship that she desperately needs.
Well, that's actually kind of interesting because if you think about it, Helen and Annie are mirrors to each other.
Yes, exact opposites. Yep.
But they're the opposite but the same, right? Like the way
Hmm.
that the problems manifest,
Hmm.
totally different. But at the root of it, it's like Annie doesn't feel seen in her friendship with Lily or by herself, right? She's
Hmm.
not who she is
Yeah.
inside, her loves and her
Hmm.
what brings her life. But then Helen's also not seeing herself, right?
Hmm.
Like her needs and what she does bring to the world. She thinks she has to buy her friendship and buy
Hmm.
everything, right?
Hmm.
Whereas, Helen probably could just be a decent friend and go
Yeah.
and get ramen sushi, and she has something to bring. We all do. So
Yep.
it's very interesting when you have that dynamic, because
Hmm.
they're the same, right? Just
Hmm.
different ways of showing
And
up.
it's kind of their friendship. They bond over a friendship in the car because Annie finally breaks down. Well, not Annie. I'm sorry. Helen breaks down in the car.
Yeah.
She lets her, emotional down, so she gains that connection. She trusts Annie for the first time to be ugly, crying in front of her. It's like, I never seen you ugly before, and
No,
she's
I'm not. I don't look ugly.
I don't ugly, but she's finally open to, you know, opening herself up to somebody else other than Lily, because I feel like she's like pouring all she has into Lily because she feels like
Mhm.
Lily is, she
Right.
sees Annie as competition, but now it's like, no, there's other people here. There's other friends here that I could be friends with.
Totally.
Mhm.
And something else that I really love about this movie is um the scene specifically with Megan, with Melissa McCarthy, where
Mhm.
she's like, life, she's just beating just female Fight Club, right?
Yeah, female Fight Club.
Yeah. And I think that that's so cool because there's so many times, again, in real life when we're in our darkest places, we just don't believe, I don't have any friends, I don't have anybody. And it's like, really? Like, I'm here, I'm your friend,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
And just because like her friendship with Lillian in that moment wasn't what she wanted it to be, it doesn't mean that she didn't have other people who loved and cared for
right,
her, right? And you
exactly.
can't
Yep,
put everything into one friendship or one
right.
person.
Hmm.
And it's just so, and I love the way that, her sharing her story and opening up, like they threw firecrackers at me, like right at me, like not symbolically, like they actually
Yeah,
threw firecrackers at me, right?
yeah,
And she tells her story of rock bottom and saying, you know what, I read every book in the library and I did all this and now I have all the security clearances, I know where all the nukes are, lots of shopping malls,
a
don't
lot of
repeat
shopping malls.
that.
Don't repeat that.
But it's such a cool moment because and even in vain with the AA model, right? Like
Yeah.
you have sponsorship, like
Hmm.
in order to like overcome your addiction,
Yep.
you have somebody else who has, and it's kind of interesting how that mirrors it. It's not Lillian,
Yes.
it's Megan, and it's somebody
Hmm.
unexpected. Like up until that point, the audience had no idea
Yeah.
that Megan and Annie had any sort of friendship, right?
Hmm.
Like you just thought they were like bridesmaids
Yeah.
together. But
But
Megan saw,
Megan's that strong person who will like help anybody. Like she
yeah,
knows your family for her now.
yes.
She's gonna help you.
But she might put a loaded gun in your carry-on.
Yes. Also, you just said that's right. You just reminded. She says Fight Club, and it's funny because the thing in Fight Club, in order to be free to do anything, you have to lose everything, because
Mhm.
that character Edward Norton, he loses everything in that movie, and that's how he rises up to gain more confidence through his Fight Club.
Mhm.
And even though it's bad because he becomes Tyler Durden, or he is Tyler Durden. Spoilers. I don't know if you've ever seen Fight Club.
I haven't seen it.
You haven't seen it? Oh, sorry.
It's okay.
So spoilers: Edward Norton and Brad Pitt are the same person.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Good to know.
So good to know. So when you watch the movie, just have that in the back of your mind. It's good
Okay.
stuff. But yeah, it's cool because that or sort of echoes what the movie's about. Like, in order to be free to do anything or move on with your life, you have to lose everything. So
Right. Right.
right. Mhm.
The rock bottom is the solid foundation which we build our life upon, right? Or whatever that is.
Yeah. Yes. Exactly. So
Some other cool things that as I was researching, I learned about this movie. Well, first of all, the airplane scene with
yes.
Kristen Wiig and Malone, what's her name? I looked it up. Annie Malomo.
Mhm.
They're the co-writers of the movie. They wrote
Oh.
the script.
Mhm.
And the reason that they wrote the script is actually because the director, what's his name?
Paul
Paul
Feig.
Feig. Paul
Paul
Feig.
Feig. Yep.
He directed, what was it, Knocked Up, right? And I
I
think it was
was it
Knocked
knocked
Up.
up.
I think so.
I'm not sure. I guess that might have been
I'm
Judd
pretty
Apatow,
sure
but
he directed Knocked
I'll
Up,
double
and
check.
Kristen Wiig had a tiny little role in that movie where she
That's
was the
right.
boss, right? She was the boss, and he loved the way she improvised in that role so much. He came to her and said, "I want to make a movie with you, and I want you to write it."
Mhm.
And so those two wrote the movie together. And Malone, or what's her name? Annie was supposed to be like have a bigger role, but she was actually 9 months pregnant while they were filming that scene.
Oh,
So she
yeah.
got pregnant and she couldn't have as active of a role. And and what's really cool about the movie itself is, first of all, it was one of his biggest hits. Like it was a huge box office hit.
Mhm.
But it came out in like 2011, and it really, I'm not gonna say it was the first time, but it was one of the first times where like female comedians were really put at the front and the center of a movie.
Mm-hmm.
And like you were and it was about like the female experience, and there was a comedy,
Mm-hmm.
and there was a lot of it was different, right? Because you had like Knocked Up, you had like, you know, the Paul Rudds and like all the
Yeah, sort
right,
of like the Judd Apatow movies.
yeah, like
Yes,
all
yeah.
of that like kind of ruled the comedy scene. Then you have this movie come out, and it was so popular and successful.
Mm-hmm.
And it was so relatable to so many women and their experience of like being a
Mm-hmm.
bridesmaid, right, on a surface level, but also like to anybody who's ever been in rock bottom. And I
Yep.
think that's something that's really cool about the movie, is that, you know, Doug, who the F is Dougie? Like, you don't even know, right? You see him twice. Like, he has no role. It's not about Dougie. Like,
No.
Dougie could be anybody. And I like how they kind of make him look that way. Like, he just looks like an average dude, right?
Yeah.
But it's really more about that female friendship and kind of that experience together.
Oh, Tim Heidecker. That's who he is. Tim Heidecker. He's a comedian. He's from like
I've seen him in other things, but he's definitely just basic, right?
Basic guy, yeah. Oh, that's the other. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Because like all the guys in this movie are so background. Like they're not even forefront. Like they barely come up. Like you never really see the husbands, and they're so like white bread. Yeah. And like the only guy who's actually like shown in forefront is actually different. He's not the typical guy. Nathan. He's the Irish or Scottish guy, whoever that cop is. Yep. I think he's a Scottish or whatever.
He was supposed to, so for the movie when he auditioned, Peter was going to have him do
Irish
an accent, and then he was just like, no, just do the Irish accent. Like it sounds funnier. I'm sorry. It's more of like the archetype.
Yeah, like Whitney, to be more specific, in the movie, Tim is totally not funny. He is just background guy. Because I remember watching the movie, I'm like, oh my god, that's Tim Heidecker, but he doesn't do anything. Because Tim Heidecker is like crazy funny and other things, but this he's just background man. He doesn't stand out. Yeah.
And some other funny things. There were several. Oh, actually, I know we're gonna get there, but like when I was like thinking about Halloween and Bridesmaids and what's the connection, like, right? What's interesting is like both characters have female leads that are like bad.
Yes.
You know, they're badass. Like they're not gonna like, well, Annie's badass in her own way, but it's
they're both Annies in the two. There's an Annie in Halloween and Annie in Bridesmaids.
Oh shoot, I did not even think about that. But there's this level of like you know, Annie in Halloween like fights back, right? She's not the typical
she's in the back woman
in a slasher movie. And Annie in Bridesmaids has to learn how to fight back, but ultimately does. So I thought that was a cool connection between the two.
Yeah. Annie's the one with what do you call it? She gets stuck in the window.
Oh, never mind, Annie. The other mate.
Laurie.
John Cusack.
No, Jamie Lee Curtis.
Oh my god, I'm a mess. I'm a mess today.
She's an Oscar winner. She just won an Oscar.
I
know. But I like Bridesmaids. It was pretty good. I liked it more this time because I think I did watch it back in the day. I think it was on TV or something, but this was much
on a scale of 1 to 10. What's your rating?
Scale 1 to 10. Oh dear. Oh gosh. I don't want to be me, but it's like I don't think I'll rewatch it. It's not one of those ones I rewatch, but I do have appreciation for it. And if I were to suggest it to somebody, I would suggest it to somebody. Like, if you like female-led comedies, check this out. It's good. Perfect. And there's some good lines in there, some great comic lines in there, and there's some funny shit in that movie too. There's some good stuff, like the sink and the shitting and the oh my god, and that what you mentioned it. Oh, like the plane scene when she's drunk.
Is a colonial woman. She's on the wing. She's churning butter.
Help me, I'm poor.
Poor.
Oh my lord! But yes. There's that. So,
and if anybody does like, I was actually thinking about making this one of the movies, so maybe it will be. But Kristen Wiig and Annie Mimolo, I don't know if I'm saying that right, actually wrote and co-starred in another movie recently called Barb and Stag.
Yes,
it is hysterical. It is. So
that is funny.
He didn't want to do a Bridesmaid sequel, but this was their like, okay, we're not doing a sequel, but we'll do this.
I love that movie because
it's so good.
That's my sort of comedy where it's dumb and it's not realistic. It's not grounded at all. That's like fairy tale, like escapism movie. And the guy in it is from 50 Shades of Grey, which is more hilarious because he's not that, that strict
Jamie Dornan.
Jamie Dornan. He's not boring. He's pretty funny.
He's
He
good
is
in that.
hilarious in that movie. I love
And they
that.
actually, the reason they ended up writing that is because while they were writing Bridesmaids, they were doing so many crazy riffs on Annie's mom. Like they were going
Oh,
into like while they were writing, they were going to like these detailed like 5 minute skit things, and they're like, well, this doesn't really fit in this movie, so they literally wrote Barb and Star so that they
oh my
could like
God.
basically flesh out
Yes.
Annie's character, Annie's mom.
That makes sense because Barb and Star are totally like old ladies, old biddies, and it's so great because they just go on these huge rants and raving.
So
Oh
good.
my God.
I love
And
that movie.
Panama Jack, right? I think that's his name.
Yep. And Tammy. Don't forget Tammy.
Tammy. Oh my gosh. That. Oh yeah, Kristen Wiig wears like she's two characters in that movie. She pulls like a Mike Myers,
Yes,
ironically
yes,
enough.
she's the evil
The
lady and
evil.
the
Yes. Wow. I should rewatch. It's been a while since I watched it, but that was one
I definitely watched that movie probably like 7 times as well. It's real good.
I think I watched it 3 times during one weekend because I bought the DVD
Right.
because it was during COVID. It was 2020 because I wanted to see it in the
There was
theater.
nothing else coming out. That was it.
Yeah, it was supposed to go to the theater, but it went straight to DVD, and I'm like, I'm gonna buy it. I'm gonna watch it.
Yes.
I think this is definitely gonna make me laugh because I remember watching that trailer. It just cracked me the hell up. It's like, oh, we star, oh Barb. It's hilarious. I love that. That's amazing.
Love it. All right. On to
Okay.
Here
Oh God, here we go. Here we go. Okay,
we go.
so
Here we go. It's happening. It's
it's
happening.
happening. It's happening. Okay, I guess I can kind of deep dive. So this is Halloween, the most like iconic slasher movie ever. It wasn't the first because you had Psycho, you had Black Christmas, but this is the one that basically established the rules. Like, don't have sex, don't say I'll be back.
Oh, turn on the damn lights. Somebody turn on the lights.
No lights is great because it's Dean Cundy who did the cinematography. He went to work on what do you call it? Halloween 2, Jurassic Park, Back to the Future, Flubber, all these great movies. Who Framed Roger Rabbit. He went on to make all these movies as the cinematographer. So he started here, and it's great. And he worked with John Carpenter so many other times.
Love it.
I love Halloween. I first saw this movie in 1997 because my mom like said we're going to make you Michael Myers for Halloween. So I was like Michael Myers for Halloween for like 3 years, including I did a little comeback year and I scared our mutual friend John Schott. You know John Schott.
Yes.
I scared him at a Halloween contest because I was Michael Myers, and he was dressed as a little ninja, and he had no idea it was me because when I'm Michael Myers, I usually stay in character. I keep the mask on for the whole costume contest. So even when they say like, "Oh my God, you won first place. What's your name?" I'm like, I didn't want to give my real name, so I said John Travolta. But yeah, I love Michael Myers. He is my jam. He is the greatest. And for those who don't know this movie, it takes place in 1978. It's about these girls who go to high school and they live in this little town called Haddonfield, Illinois. It's a fictional town. And this little boy killed his sister in 1968 or something. It's been like 10 years or 12 years, whatever it's been. And with no reason, nothing at all. And then years later, he breaks out of his psych ward on the night he was supposed to be transferred. And he ends up back in this town. And he stalks these girls for no reason. I know the sequels come later, but we're talking about this movie. There is no reason why he's stalking these girls, and it's terrifying because it's a normal neighborhood. There is nothing scary about it. There's streets, there's kids trick-or-treating. It looks like a great neighborhood, but like there's something dwelling underneath. Like there's like that secret of that house. You know, that we call it the Myers house.
Mm-hmm.
And it's there and it's like ghost stories like, oh, we don't go in there, that's where the boogeyman lives or whatever. It's all that stuff that's like really themed with Halloween. And then before I forget, hang on, did I write it down? Yes, the thing I like about Michael is that he seems to be just pure evil and an unstoppable force, and it makes him different from other scary movie characters like Freddy Krueger. That's too fantasy. I like it, but it's too fantasy. It's not grounded. Jason, too silly because it's all about the kills. The thing that makes Michael scary is that he's quiet. There's no motivation. He's just after you, and he seems unstoppable. And I love it. I love Halloween. Like I have so many Halloween T-shirts. I did a Halloween photo shoot in 2021 with my friend, and I love Michael Myers. He's the greatest. I even like this new trilogy to a certain extent. They're not the best, but I still like them for what they are. And even though a lot of the sequels go nonsense with the character of Michael Myers, I still like Michael Myers. He's the OG. He's the greatest. but yeah, I love Halloween, and I'm kind of nervous what you think about it. I don't know.
All
What
right.
did you think of
Are
Halloween?
you ready? Are you ready?
Okay.
Okay. I'm not gonna lie. When you first said Halloween, I'm like, oh God, I don't know if I want to watch this movie. But I do have to say, I used to love scary movies. Like in high school, I was bit all the scary. Like, I still have nightmares about Insidious. That movie really effed me up. But I never watched like any of the real classics. Like I haven't watched many classics. Period. So
Yeah.
I knew. I'll just say, like, as demonstrated at the end of our last show, I knew nothing about Halloween going in, even like
Yes.
the name of the guy, but I did
Yeah.
know the music. Like, I'm like,
Yes.
oh my God, this
Yes.
music is iconic. Like,
Yes. It's
I
the
remember
holiday. It's
I
the
was having,
holiday.
yes, I was having flashbacks to high school when you get, you forwarded those texts, like, if you don't send this in the next 3 days or 3 hours, you're going to die.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, diving in, where do we start? So diving into the movie, it's very interesting. And I don't know if this is intentional.
Mm-hmm.
If it is, it's genius. If not, it's still genius. But the dialogue was so quiet. I could not hear it. I am getting old. I had to turn it up so much, but then the music was so loud. I'd be like every time I was just like, the music would start and I would jump. And it was actually really funny because my partner, who does not do scary movies, was only listening, and so then I was like, ooh, I'm going to turn this up so he gets really scared, and it totally worked. But anyways, the kind of getting into it, I was trying to figure out, the camera. The first thing that struck me was like the cinematography, like the camera angles. I was like, oh, this is real. Like, you're following him around the house, and it's like you hear the breathing, and I'm sitting there. I'm like, is this has got to be like a killer, or is it like her boyfriend, or is it like who is it, right? And then there's like this twist, and I'm like, wow, it's like a 6-year-old, of course, dressed up as a fucking clown, but like dressed up as a clown, right? And I had so much just what's going on. And what's so interesting about the movie is you have no idea. Like, throughout the whole movie, you're like, what's this guy's motivation? What's going on? And like me, who is fascinated by psychology, like I study psychology, I'm a life coach. Like, it's what motivates people is like what gets me out of bed in the morning. So the whole movie, I'm just like, I was making meaning in my mind. I'm like, oh, well, I was making the backstory, like something's going on. Like, he came from an abusive household, obviously. And like, he's targeting these girls because they look like his sister. Like something I had to fill in the gaps. Like, what was so also great about this movie is that it's realistic, right? Like, I think what's so scary about it is the fact that, and even the way that it's filmed, it doesn't, you watch slasher movies now, and it's so dramatized, like it's not really grounded, right? But like, you can actually see, like, it's not super flashy or crazy. Like this guy is just like standing outside, stalking people, and just like, killing them and leaving them in their house. And the lighting really, I know I kept like turn the damn lights on because I was just
But it's so good though, because it's so natural, but you still see things as a viewer.
So that made it feel real. Like, that made it feel like that could actually happen to you. And I think that's what was so brilliant about the movie is like, because in real life, right, if somebody were stalking you and a serial killer were murdering people, you wouldn't know anything about the serial killer. Like, you wouldn't know what their motivation is or why they're doing it or where they're from. So it created this level of authenticity. And I think that's the reason, like, going back to Insidious scares me so much is like, I believe in spiritual woo-woo stuff and like astral projection. Like, that's something that people actually do. And like, wow, what if a demon actually, it's a little more of a stretch, but I think that's what is brilliant about this movie is that it's so rooted in what could really happen. And you're like, oh my God. Right. Yes. And especially where growing up where we grew up, like that looks like where we grew up.
Yes. Those streets. Yes, exactly. Yeah. Yep.
So that was really, and then the music, I was researching because, I was also nervous. Like, oh my God, I have to have something to talk about. Like,
yes.
I'm gonna like dissect this so perfectly. So as I was researching, what was really interesting is the music, like the whole score. Well, first of all, the whole movie was made on a $300,000 budget.
Yes, which is even low at the time.
Right.
Yeah,
In 20 days, and then it grossed like 70 million. I'm like, damn, that is like the best return on investment ever.
Yes.
But and they filmed in 20 days, and Jamie Lee Curtis, like, she bought her own wardrobe from JC Penney for
Yep, I think
$100.
they all did too. Yep, I think they all
Right.
did. Yep.
And that's also something, like, my day job's in innovation, so I love when you, like, this notion of, like, just making something, like, just starting, like, just doing it, right? It's not going to be perfect, but if you have the right intentionality, like, if you have the right vision, right? And if you're just willing to, like, they painted leaves so it could look like fall. Like, they took a bunch of leaves and they painted them.
Yeah, that one garbage bag of leaves for every scene.
But they just kept taking it, and I'm like, oh my God, this is literally innovation. Like, this is, like, the constraint is the creator of creativity, right?
Yeah.
And you can see that in the movie. Like, it was so cool to experience it from that perspective of seeing it as, like, innovation and it becoming so iconic, right?
Yes. There's so many different visuals that are iconic in this, like the POV shot in the beginning, and then just like the long tracking shots of just following Michael around or just like staying put. One of my favorite sequences in the movie, all-time favorite sequences in the movie, so simple. Okay, Laurie found all her friends. They're all dead. She's running across the street. It's all like sort of frantic. You're following her across the street. She gets to the door. She's like, the keys. And then the camera's just steady. Nothing moving. All you see is Michael. He's coming right for her from the backyard across the street. She's trying to wake up the kids, little Tommy. And like, wake up. He's like, what is it? Meanwhile, that camera is just sitting there and he's just slowly coming towards the camera. And that's more scary than like all these movies where the camera's like following them, or like, he's like moving his knife and he's like, the camera's like doing that, or shaky cam. It's just Michael coming across the street, like in real time. He's coming towards her. There's nothing mythical. There's just a crazy guy coming to get her, and nobody else can help because there's no cell phones. There's no parents around. There's people who shouldn't be in these houses. Like you said, turn on some lights. They can't turn on the lights because they're sneaking in that house.
Right.
So there's all these things going on. And like the little Tommy Doyle has to come downstairs and open the door in that time. And meanwhile, Michael's like right there at the stairs. It's like, oh, geez. But I love this movie. Oops.
Somebody, when I was reading some articles about it, they described it as nerve frying, which I was like, that is perfect, because I literally feel like you just took my nerves out and put them on a fry pan, sizzled them, fried them up.
Yes.
More crunchy, because I think what also really adds to it is, again, the music, right? It just it's so. The music is almost scarier than the movie. Like when it comes on so strong and it's so loud, it's like
during that opening titles. Yep.
Right. There's so few. That was part of like when I stopped watching scary movies. It's like there were so few movies that could actually really make me jump. Because you get used to like the right, like that.
We have the big giant sound effect. Yep.
Yeah. And with this one, it's not big giant sound effects, but it's just like it comes
every so often. There is every so often,
yeah. But the music is like and I was also reading that the creator, what's his name?
John Carpenter.
John Carpenter. He would play bongos with his dad at like a 5/6 beat. And like that was like basically the inspiration for the music was that tempo, right? But it feels like that tempo is literally, if like anxiety were to just come out of a body and be like transmuted into like matter and turn into something, it would turn into that music.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. I totally agree. Because that music, when that kicks in the beginning, it sort of sets the whole mood, because it starts with like a little friendly pumpkin. It's got the orange and black, like, like the letters here where you associate that with Halloween, but there's this uneasiness because the theme's playing and it gets closer and closer to the pumpkin, and like it just stops and like the lighting changes where you just see the flickering inside the pumpkin. It's you no longer see the pumpkin, you just see like the fire in the eyes and all that. It just makes it uneasy, and it sets the whole tone for the movie. Like it's uneasy, you don't know what's going to happen, you're into the ride, it's Halloween.
Yes. I do have to say though, throughout the whole movie, I'm just like, where were parents in the 70s? Did they just not like where did they not exist? Did they like just like I'm out? Like where are the parents?
I'm trying to think. I think it's mentioned in the sequel. I was going to say they mentioned about no. I think it's in the sequel. I think it's a sequel where all the parents go to like a party in oh god, there's like a town that they always reference. They're in shit. I forgot the town. I think it's like not Pottersville, but it's something like that. Russellville. All the parents are in Russellville at a Halloween party. That's right. You learned that in Halloween too, though. It's not.
It made me feel like a bit of a Hocus Pocus vibe. I'm like, let's leave the important work to the teenagers here.
Yes.
But what was also really cool about the movie was the dialogue of all the girls when they were walking home from school. And I was reading that John Carpenter actually brought in a woman to write that part, so it felt like more authentic. And it was, that I can see like my friends having that conversation, right? And you could see it was also just so interesting to see the kind of the archetypes of the three leads, right? You have like Jamie Lee Curtis, who's like totally the studious, like rule follower, right? Like you have the other Annie, who I think she's kind of like the slutty one, right? Annie.
I think the blonde one.
The blonde one, yeah.
Yeah. Annie's the brunette.
Yes. Yep. And
I can't remember who that is. PJ Souls. Who does she play? I think it's not. Is it Linda? Linda. That's the name.
Linda, listen.
Linda, listen. Linda. Oh my God, I know that reference.
I don't remember where it's from, but I know it.
It's probably a TikTok or Instagram video where it's a little Mexican boy because he's referencing his grandma or his mom. Linda, listen. So I get you. I'm on your page. I got it.
There. Anyways, yes. And the ending. Okay, let's also talk about the ending here.
Yes. Talk about the ending.
How the fuck does this man not die 3 times? Like, does he not? Did I see it wrong? Did he not get stabbed in the neck, like in the artery, and then he just like rises from the dead 3 times? What?
I shot him 6 times. He is great.
This man does not die.
He is the epitome of evil. He somehow knows how to drive after being locked up for 18 years.
And never learning how to drive because he was 6 when he went to the psych ward.
Yeah.
Who is this man? Like, what's your back? Like, you love this movie. Tell me, what do you think the backstory of this man is?
It's since I love the whole franchise, it's been so many things. There's like, so this franchise, Halloween franchise, is almost like a choose your own adventure series for real. Like you can go with Halloween 2, which introduces that Laurie is his sister, adopted sister or something like that. Cause like because he had a little baby sister named Laurie and they adopted her out and changed her name and she doesn't know that it's her brother. There's that plot line that leads to Halloween 4, 5, and 6. And then there's the series that goes from Halloween 1, Halloween 2 to H2O to Halloween Resurrection. And then there's one where it just goes from Halloween 1 to the new one in 2018 where they're not brother and sister. So the new ones, the 2018, 2020, and 2021 or 2022, all those ones like Halloween Kills, and Halloween Ends, they're not brother and sister. He's just a guy. But like there's so many different paths to go down with this franchise because they've made so many of them. And they don't really know what to do with Michael to make him scary anymore. But like to me, what makes this movie great, the first one specifically, is that he's just a guy. Yeah. He is just a mysterious man. And is he sort of spiritual? Is he sort of like the embodiment of evil? Is he like some sort of evil spirit? Because there's times where he'll disappear, like he hides behind the bush and then he's gone. He's hiding behind the little blankets and towels. He's gone. And then at the end, I love Loomis's reaction. He goes to the window and sees Michael's not there. He's first shocked, but then he looks up as if he anticipated, like, of course, I knew this was going to happen. And then he just looks out. And I love that the whole ending was totally made up in editing because, when you're filming, usually you set up the shot. So all those setups they used at the end and just put the Michael Myers breathing over it because you're going to all these locations where he wasn't. And where's Michael Myers? Where's Michael Myers? Where'd he go? Because you're just going to all these spots where he was and you just hear his breathing. It's so cool.
Okay, I might have totally missed this, but did he disappear after getting shot 6 times?
Yeah. He fell out the window and he just Loomis goes to the window because what do you call it? Laurie's like, was that the boogeyman? And Loomis is like, matter of fact, it was. And he goes to the window and he goes to the ground, and the ground, he's not there anymore. And then that's when the interaction comes of Loomis, and that's when the music kicks in, and it cuts to Laurie crying, and then Loomis is just looking out there like, I know you're out there, Michael. I know you're out there. And then it cuts to all the different locations where the movie took place, and where's Michael Myers?
Okay, I don't know. I think I missed that because I was trying to scare Ari at the end. And I did, by the way. I got him real good. But okay, that's very interesting. Because I think what's scary was to me, Michael Myers could be a real person, but then you say that, and it's like, is he a real person?
Yeah, is he is there's so evil in him, that's just driving him to whoever this is, driving him home. Is who is he? Because he's not really a man because he killed the dog to eat it. He got hungry. Yeah, because they go to that house, they're like, oh, that dog. He must have got hungry.
The dog?
Yeah. He ate the dog.
I missed that too. I think I just blocked that out because when he killed the dog, I got really devastated.
That's right. Oh, you know how they did that shot?
How?
All they did was pick up a dog and film it in slow motion, because when you pick up a dog, the legs go limp anyway. So that's how they filmed it. They just picked up a dog normally and filmed it in slow motion, and when the legs go limp, that's what happens when you pick up a dog. Their legs go limp.
That's awesome.
Yes. But there's so many little things about this. I know you probably didn't notice it, but when they go to the bush and Annie's like, hey, creep, and Laurie, dear, he wants to take you out tonight. And that reaction shot, you see John Carpenter's cigarette smoke blow past the screen. He's on the side of the...
I missed that.
There's a big giant puff of smoke that comes out when Annie's saying, he wants to take you out tonight. Big giant puff of smoke comes out.
Oh my gosh.
Yes. And then I just want one more thing. At the end, when Laurie's like, was that the boogeyman? She was literally asleep 5 minutes before that shot. So when you look at her closely in HD or in Blu-ray, she has the imprint of sleeping on a pillow. So it's hashtag marks on her face.
Oh my god.
Because she literally just woke up.
Rolled out of bed, filmed the final scene.
Yep.
I wish I would have done a little research before, but I didn't want to ruin it. So, but as I was researching it after, I was reading there were some shots they filmed it in California, but it's obviously taking place in Illinois in autumn, right? And there's some shots that they got some palm trees in it, and the trees were all green. I'm like, how did I miss this? I was too focused on the breathing. I was too into where is Michael Myers, and I totally missed the fact that it's supposed to be Halloween and everything's green and there's palm trees in the background.
There's palms they're right in the background because it's when Laurie and Tommy in the beginning and they're because I told you. Why? Because you said so. Why? And then in the background, you see these big giant palm trees. And then I think it's when they go down to the hardware store. I think there's some palm trees down the street when they go see the dad. He's like, aren't you going to be late? And the only thing they took was a couple of masks and a couple of knives. Yep. It's that scene as you see the pine trees. Oh my God, I love that scene too. Because Michael is following the girls. And Loomis is right there in the corner, and he's he just misses Michael. He drives
right past. I'm
I was no, he's right there. He's right there. Oh my God, it's so great. But I definitely. Oh, go ahead.
Oh no, I was gonna say, what do you think? This is basically a cult classic. People love this movie. They love this series.
Yes.
What do you think is the draw? What made and also for people to just look past, even me, I didn't see the smoke, I didn't see the palm trees, to be so enthralled. What is that it factor?
The it factor for the I think the thing that's it factor for me is that, Jaws took fear to the ocean, the unknown of the ocean, and then Texas Chainsaw makes the countryside scary, normal, and then I feel Michael takes the fear home. The streets of home, everyone can relate to that. Everyone can relate to living on the street. It's fall, it's autumn, you're trick-or-treating, you're walking home, you're sneaking a joint or whatever. You're talking about boys, you're talking about your girlfriends, boyfriends, things like that. You can relate to that. And I feel that's why it has an everlasting power over people. And not only that, but just to me, one of the reasons why I do love the series is because overall, as the series goes on, as some of them are kind of stupid and lame, but there's always that factor, that cheesiness factor from Loomis, because in this movie Loomis is pretty straightforward, but in the next one Loomis goes from like he's probably like at an 8 or 9 in this movie. Loomis goes like full 11, 12, 13, 15 in Halloween 2. And Halloween 2 is just amazing to me. Halloween 2 is like my favorite sequel ever, even though it's kind of boring. It's just in the hospital. But like Loomis, like he has some great lines. It opens with what's going on? And then he says, call the police, tell them I shot him. And he says, and the neighbor's like, you better be serious. I've been trick-or-treated to death tonight. And Loomis is like, you don't know what death is. And then the music kicks up like, da-da-da-da-da, and it goes so cheesy. And like Loomis becomes like a crazy man by Halloween 4 and 5. He's got like a burnt face because somehow he survives the explosion at the Halloween 2 with just like a little burn on mark on his hand and face, even though he should have been exploded. But like, he's a crazy man after Michael Myers. They're both unstoppable forces, but like it gets cheesy as the series goes on.
Okay.
But this original one and Halloween 2, because I love Halloween 2. I think the thing that's best about the Halloween 2, Sarah, if you ever do get to see it, I don't know if you'll get to see it, but like you could literally spice these two movies together and it pretty much stays the same. The only thing that really changes is the music, because the music sounds more 80s and the next one, because the next one they made in 1980. But like you could split them together and it like picks up right after and it takes place on the same night, which I like, because like, there's a lot of movies. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, with the second movie, was there? I'm just curious, like the budget. Did they have? I mean, since it was such a success, or did they still do it like really low budget?
It's a higher budget, but all they did was stay in a hotel. Oh, not hotel. They stay in a hospital.
Okay.
It takes place in a hospital, so it kind of feels like low budget, but it's a different location. And he's walking down hallways. He's killing the orderlies, and he's even stronger in the next one. Like he walks through like a glass door. Just like bust through it like he's an unstoppable force. And he did get shot 6 times, because in the next one you see all like the bullet holes in him. And then like I think he kills like one random person in the next one, but everyone else is like at the hospital. It's good. It's good stuff. I like Halloween 2. Halloween 1 and 2 are really good. Halloween 3 is totally different, because they're like, okay, we killed off Michael Myers. What do we do? So they try to make it an anthology series with Halloween 3. But no one liked that. It's later on become a cult classic. Like now people like Halloween 3, but it has nothing to do with Michael Myers. It went down like a whole different path. But like this series is like really choose your own adventure, because you could go down like he's the sister, the Legacy H2O series, or just like he's not the sister with the new series. So there's so many movies. I think there's like, my God, 11, 12 movies, I think.
Wow.
And there's even like the remake with Rob Zombie, the Rob Zombie remake, which remakes this movie in the last 40 minutes, because the first hour is like him trying to make Michael Myers like a redneck kid, like who's troubled. And then like the last 40 minutes, they speed past to remake this movie almost verbatim, but just sped up. It's like on fast forward. But yeah, it's a huge series. And I think that's why there's so much love to it, because it's kept on all these years. It keeps going, because like Michael is just like an iconic guy. And also, I don't know if you did this in your research, but do you know what mask this is? Do you know what they used to make?
I did. It is the Star Trek mask.
Yes.
William
Shatner.
Oh, I got that right.
Captain Kirk, because they bought 2 cheap Halloween masks for like $2 in clearance. One was a clown mask, because when he was a kid, he was a clown. And then the other one was the William Shatner mask, where they cut off the pointy, what do you call it, sideburns, spray painted it white, and then put the hair back on and cut out the eye holes a little bit bigger to make this iconic mask, which I totally love.
Isn't that just so cool? Just thinking about even the pure notion of innovation and the fact that mask was $2 and they did whatever. And now think about how much money people pay to buy it. Before we got on, we were talking about your Michael Myers mask.
Yes. Let me pull it down. Hang on, podcast. Let me pull it down, because I have it right here. Oops. There goes my boggling. My little boggling. Yeah, I have this Michael Myers mask.
King hat on.
Yes, I have this Michael Myers mask, and like as you said, like back then it was like a $2 mask, but now it says like this is like
whole franchise,
$40
$2 mask to a franchise.
Yeah, because it's the Trick or Treat Studios mask, so they make good ones. I've been wanting to, like, if they ever do it, because for the new Halloween series, I think they didn't want to do like William Shatner's likeness, because they might have to pay him. So in the new Halloween Kills, there's a flashback to these movies, and they make a different mask, and I hope they make that one day. It's a little bit more emotionless, because this one is like William Shatner, but it's like a more like smoother mask, and it's more like there's nothing there to Michael. That's the good thing about this freaking Halloween too. It makes him interesting, is that there's no emotion to him, and he wears that mask that's just white, emotionless mask with those black eyes, and it's great. I love that. Speaking of which, oh my god, hang on, I know I wrote it down. Did I write it down? Hopefully I did. Oh man, there's something about Michael Myers and how great he is. Dang. I'm a huge fan of the series. I'm just trying to say, maybe sure. Elm Street, Jason, Goofy, Texas Chainsaw, the Terror. Oh, that's what it was. So, Sarah, what was your reaction to finding out that it wasn't a grown man, that it was a kid? Because I was rewatching, and I was like, oh my god, Sarah's never seen this before. So, what's your thoughts?
Yeah.
Like, what were you thinking when you found out as a kid?
I was like so confused. Well, first of all, I have my very logical brain that just ruins everything, which was like, how does a 6-year-old first of all, why didn't the sister just like pick up the 6-year-old? Like, it's a little like can't weigh more than 40 pounds, guys. And then my second thought was, how do you know how I mean, okay, I can't say I know because obviously I've never stabbed anybody, but I can imagine that it's like it takes a little bit of girth and strength, and the butcher knife must have been really sharp. Yes. Or like something. Like how did a 6-year-old kill an 18-year-old woman? So that was like my initial thought.
Yes.
And then my next thought was like, of course it's a freaking clown. Like clowns are just creepy. They will always be creepy. Like even in the 70s were they creepy. And then my third thought was like, wow. And then I started getting into the psychology. I'm like, okay, yes. What did this 6-year-old go through? What did the boyfriend do to the 6-year-old? What did whoever do to the 6-year-old? Like, was it born this way? Like, was it what,
Yeah.
And I, at that point, still didn't know that it was kind of like Michael Myers wasn't really human-like, right? Because
he's just like the boogeyman. Like,
and
he's real.
And the thing that's interesting is like, I firmly believe, right? Kids come out good most of the time. I mean, all the time, right? Parents are the ones that fuck kids up, right? And then I started thinking, I'm like, what happened to this kid from 1 to 6 to make him like this? And then what happened to this kid in a mental institution for 15 years to solidify that he was like this, right? Because we all know, especially back in those days, like they weren't doing good things in the mental institution.
No.
They weren't actually trying to help, right? Or rehab or so he must have gone through a lot of shit there to grow up, right? In that institution and to be abandoned. So it's almost like then I was thinking, is Michael Myers nature or nurture, right? Was he like this, or was he created to be this?
I think he was born that way, although the sequels say that he was part of the Thorn cult or whatever. That one's dumb. It has Paul Rudd in it.
Oh man, that's interesting.
It's Paul Rudd's first movie, or maybe second movie.
I kind of want to watch that now because I love Paul Rudd.
Don't. I think that's Halloween 6.
Oh wow, okay. I need to look at how many Halloween movies I did. There was a moment where I had to go back and like look at your posts because I'm like, wait, which Halloween movie are we watching?
That's why I kept saying Halloween 78 because there's 3 different Halloweens. There's Halloween 78, there's Halloween 2007, and there's Halloween 2018.
Yeah. What was your reaction when you found out it was if you remember, it was a long time ago?
It was a very long time ago because I think it was kind of ruined for me because I have a weird childhood where I saw the sequels first. Like I saw Jaws 2 before I saw Jaws 1. I saw Halloween 2 before I saw Halloween. So, but yeah, like the things that stand out to me, if I can recall, I like, first of all, it's, I like how time stood still in the beginning. It's like when they pull off his mask of Michael, it seems like time stood still. It's like a snapshot, like a picture, and they're just leaving out of that picture. Like time stood still when they found out Michael killed the sister. I like that. That stood out to me as a kid. And then the thing that also scared me as a kid, like terrifying, like, even when I watch it, I'm like, it doesn't scare me as much, but it's like still a terrifying visual is when they're driving in the rain. And you just see so far because the headlights. And then when they get to the psych ward, you see all these people roaming aimlessly in the rain, in the dark. And it's a crazy visual because it's not natural because people don't just walk around roaming in the rain.
In white dresses, white gowns.
Yeah, the white, like, the gowns. It's just like, oh God. that stands out to me like as a kid. And then what always stood out to me as a kid, because when I was little Michael Myers as a Halloween costume and I got into character, I always did like the head tilt. So I like how when Michael kills somebody, he does like the little head tilt because he's sort of like admiring their work or seeing how they die. Because like after he kills Bob and puts him up there, he's just like looks at him. Yeah. And like the thing that I that they really don't do with Michael Myers until the 2018 movie is that this Michael Myers sort of has like a sort of like weird like joy or sort of like art to his kills. Like he sets them up around the house. Like he hangs the guy upside down. He puts her in this way. He displays the girl on the bed with the tombstone.
Yeah.
He has some sort of weird joy out of this. Like he's like creating his masterpiece. Like even like this weird thing he does is go upstairs with the ghost sheet and he puts on the glasses. It's messed up because like no one would do that. Who does that? So he's pretending to be Bob. He doesn't. He's like savoring it. He's almost like savoring, like she doesn't know who I am yet.
Yeah, it's like his kink, I think.
It's like his kink.
I was like, this guy has a weird kink.
It's a weird kink,
but
it's not feet. It's just people who don't know who he is. That's his kink.
Yeah, totally.
Because like that's the weird thing, and that gets brought back into the new 2018 series. So in Halloween 2018 and Halloween Kills, he does like these weird Halloween like themed kills or setups. Like in the 2018 Halloween movie, he cuts off some dude's head and then carves the face to look like a pumpkin, like a jack-o'-lantern with a candle in it. And then in Halloween Kills, he kills this gay couple that live in the Myers house now. And he sets them up like they're because there's a photo of them on a date. And they're like laying out there and they have like flowers in their hands or whatever. And he sets them up as that photo. And I'm like, yes, they brought back the creepy Michael Myers who sort of like sets art pieces up with his thing. Like even like, because he's very brutal in Halloween Kills where he almost like sets up like a sick art piece where like he puts the old man on the counter and he puts like all the knives that are in like the knife holder into the old man, like in the same way. Because he just takes one out. Boom, boom, and it's like, ooh, it's creepy. And the thing that's creepy about that is because that old man's there, the old man's wife is watching, and she slowly, like, you think she's dying, but she ends up being a survivor and Halloween ends, but she can't talk anymore. Yeah, it's a series. Those ones are a bit darker, and I don't really rewatch those ones often, but I really like these ones sort of because it's grounded. Because like the new ones are not grounded; they're a bit more escapism. Michael, like it's almost like a hybrid. They hybrided like the Michael Myers from Rob Zombie into the universe with Jamie Lee Curtis to make it like a new thing. Because there's a kill in Halloween Kills that makes me laugh, and it's totally like fantasy world. But there's a girl who's shooting at Michael with a Desert Eagle, and he just like looks at her, and then he kicks the door. The door hits the gun, and she ends up shooting herself. And so it's a bit goofy. Yeah. Because like the door's
guy number 533.
Yes. He's like the Roadrunner there. Like he just kicks the door open, the door hits her gun and goes boom. Oh my God.
Funny. When you were talking about like the arts to the kill.
Yeah.
I just kept seeing, I think it's the 40-Year-Old Virgin where he makes the mouse like the little mice. It's a 40-Year-Old Virgin, right?
I never saw 40-Year-Old Virgin.
Oh my God, it's such a good movie. Okay, there's like it's Steve Carell, and he makes little mouse. He takes little dead mice.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Dinner for Schmucks with Paul Rudd.
Yes.
That's the one. Because they make fun of him. They make fun of him for making those little models of Dinner the dead mice.
Yes. And that's what I was thinking when you're talking about Mike Myers displaying dead people. I'm like, oh, little mouse things.
Yeah. And, oh my God, that's hilarious. Just imagining Steve Carell as Michael Myers.
That would be good. I would watch that.
There's so many things where Steve Carell should do, because I had this whole thing. Today's actually the 7th anniversary of it. But 7 years ago, Whitney Kibler, my best friend, Whitney Kibler, she's in the chat. She shared this Office meme where Michael Scott is on the airplane and he's saying, I've been having a bad year. But I'm like, oh my God, that looks like the same exact lighting and shot from Batman Begins. So I was like, Steve Carell was the best Batman, and I made like a whole series of memes where he recreates scenes from Batman Begins. So
oh my gosh.
Today's the 7th anniversary of that, ironically, and we're just talking about that. Yes,
love it. Oh my gosh, this was a good mashup. I've been racking my brain. I'm like, what are we gonna do next month?
I know. I don't know what we're going to do next month. Oh, but let's find some connections between the two,
Yes.
like we did last time. So
Yeah.
I have a couple. So the
Okay,
first
let's
thing
hear
is there's characters named Annie in both of them,
Mhm.
and then they both open up with an awkward sex scene.
They do. Okay, I was thinking, I'm like, okay, we have the weird sex scenes in both of them.
Because like the first one's Goofy in Bridesmaids, and then
Yeah.
in Halloween he goes up and must just come right away because he comes right down the stairs.
I was like, I
He-
thought that too. I was like, this was like 3 minutes, dude.
Not even. It's like a minute. Because like they're like making it downstairs and they run upstairs and like Michael goes down there and then he's already coming down the stairs. Maybe they knew the parents were coming home because immediately the parents show up after that. So maybe they knew.
Maybe.
It was a
but
quickie.
let's be realistic here, Frank.
I'm not defending the boy. The boy had a chance. Oh god.
You think they were like, I want to go fast. I want to go fast.
slow down.
Let's go fast. Let's go fast.
Oh my god. Oh, John Hamm. That's so funny. Seeing him in Bridesmaids and then just being reminded of him from like Mad Men or Top Gun Maverick, where he's like a serious general, and then in Bridesmaid he's like a goofy asshole.
Yep.
Oh my god. So did you notice any other connections?
Well, my connection was like what I was kind of talking about with less like movie, but both movies have, you know,
oh yeah, the female leads. Yes.
That like fights back, right?
Yes.
You have what's her name? Why is it escaping me? Jamie Lee Curtis.
Laurie Strode, yes.
Laurie, I thought it was Laurie. You have Laurie, who's like, you know, the only person who okay, there were several times I was watching people be killed, and I'm like, come on, like get a little bit of elbow in there. Like we can do. He doesn't even have a knife right now. You can do like you know.
She keeps throwing the knife away, which is aggravating.
I know, keeps throwing the knife away, and then also just like the eye poke.
Oh yeah, the hanger, but she's still fighting, which I appreciate. She's like she's trying to find something.
She's a fighter. You
Yes.
you know, Annie has to be a fighter, and she's kind of figuring it out and makes her way there, right?
Yes.
Let's see, what other similarities do we have? I mean, both movies, you can kind of say they kind of have iconic music. Like I will never listen to Wilson Phillips ever again without thinking of Bridesmaids, right?
Yes.
Right?
Or the Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap when they're playing the tennis.
Yep, Dirty Deeds.
Together,
Carol.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
Yep. What else? What else we got? Anything else you thought of?
No, just like that they're strong female led movies.
Yep.
And then I guess that's it. Nothing else.
Well, I think both were also I think Bridesmaids was a lower budget film. Like it wasn't.
I think so.
It didn't have a huge. I mean, it wasn't 300,000, but it was also like lower budget. But I'm kind of scraping here. Maybe
it was 32 million.
Okay, that's not like super small, but
yeah,
maybe not
32 million. Yeah, yeah. Also, I guess they both had a female writer. Deborah Hill wrote the dialogue for Halloween. And, there's that, and Paul Feig. You know, I think the dialogue was sort of like written by a woman, but also like improvised by the three leads, the Annie, Linda, and Laurie, to make it more natural. And especially when they got their own clothes to make it even more natural. Like these are what the kids would wear.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. So what's next month? What's the theme?
I don't know. But I had some ideas. I was like, okay, we could go like it's Women History Month, so we could do like female directors.
And Easter.
Or Easter. We could do Easter theme movies. We could also do like Oscar nominee movies, like not necessarily the Oscar movies, but like movies that like winners were
been nominated or something like that.
Yep.
We could also do sort of like religious movies like 10 Commandments or Ben-Hur, because it's sort of that, Easter season. We could do anything. So like what's your first movie? Like the first movie that comes to your mind?
Oh
what
my
is
God.
yours?
I panicking under pressure. I need to go research movies because I can't think of anything.
My sister is suggesting Fern Gully.
Fern Gully. I haven't seen that in so long.
I have not seen Fern Gully. All I know, it has Tim Curry in it, and Tim Curry is like the best voiceover guy ever. Oh, because it's Earth Day. Earth Day.
Okay.
Oh.
I like it.
Armageddon with Bruce Willis.
Look up.
He's an oil driller and he's got to save the Earth. Perfect Earth Day.
Land Before Time.
Ooh, I don't know. I don't know
I
if I
know.
can.
I was thinking, I'm like, am I gonna make?
I know I've DM'd you about this, but I can't handle Land Before Time. I don't know if I'm able to talk about it without crying. And I'm dead serious. I know the audience probably like laughing at me, but like I cry about Land Before Time. Oh my God, Whitney, Volcano. Yes. Oh my God, we should watch Volcano. All right, Whitney, I'm gonna pick
Volcano?
yours
That's your movie?
because it has Tommy Lee Jones in it.
Oh my gosh, here we go.
No. I won't pick it. What's yours? Did you think of one yet? Did you think of one yet?
Okay, I gotta do a quick like Earth theme movies.
Earth theme. Earth Shake.
Okay, have you seen Don't Look Up?
No, that is the Leo DiCaprio movie with Jennifer Lawrence. Like it's a stat cast. Stat cast.
That cast. Also, J Law is like the best. I love J Law so much. She's the best.
Oh my God. Yeah, let's see Earth Day movies. What do we got? Maybe it'll give me some silly ones. We have oh my God, The Day the Earth Stood Still. I can't make you watch that. Not the black and white one. The Keanu Reeves boring 2008 movie.
I definitely did not see that.
I saw. I used it for all my mesh. Oh wait, Whitney, Tremors. I think I might do this one. I think
Tremors,
I might.
I haven't seen that.
I'll introduce you to Tremors. I'm doing Tremors. Okay, that's my pick. Deal or no
Tremors.
deal. That's my pick. Tremors.
Okay, I know nothing about it. Great, super excited.
Yes. I just bought the Blu-ray and it's beautiful and I don't want to talk about more, but I'm picking Tremors. Okay.
Have you seen Moana?
Moana? Yes.
Okay, damn, can't do that one. Okay.
Oh, it could be something I've seen before. It's okay.
It could, but it's more fun when we're making each other stretch.
Oh, stretch our muscles.
Stretch our muscles, yeah. You know, okay. I haven't seen have you seen the Lorax?
Yes.
I
love the Lorax.
Yeah.
I love the Lorax. I love the original 70s cartoon. That's actually one where I kind of reference it a lot. And not only that, but like when I go to Fan Expo, there's someone who wears like a Lorax outfit, and they're like they're my Where's Waldo, because every year they go to Fan Expo and they wear the same thing, and I'm like, oh my God, there's the Lorax, and I usually take a selfie whenever I see her. But like she just like roams around in the Lorax outfit. But I love the Lorax, the 70s cartoon specifically. I speak for the trees. Everyone needs Barbaloot suits. Yes. I love it.
Okay, I'm gonna tentatively do Don't Look Up, but I need like a 3 more days to just like make sure that's definitely it. So can we tentatively?
Okay, yep, because you gotta give me some time to make the thumbnail, and plus we have a whole month. Oh, speaking of what day are we doing this? I gotta write it down.
Let me look at my calendar.
I know, I gotta pull up my calendar. Pull it up, Jamie. There we go. For April.
You know, a movie that I used to love growing up was, and it scared the shit out of me, but I loved the movie Tornado when I was a kid. I watched it all the time.
Twister,
yes.
Yes.
But I don't want to do that one. Okay.
I love Twister. I need to get the upgrade. I need to upgrade it to Blu-ray.
All right.
And remember, it could be Earth Day, or I guess we have the theme, right? We want to stick with Earth Day.
Like, yeah. and like, just to be specific, Earth Day could be anything. I'm going to make it a loose Earth Day. Like,
well, Tremors is not really an Earth Day, but it sort of has to do with underground. It's an underground worm movie, so it doesn't really have to be. It just has to deal with Earth in general. Earth. So in the movie Tremors, they have to deal with the dirt of the desert. They're not saving the world, anything. It's just monsters in the dirt.
Love it. Like, it's a loose interpretation. Okay. Day.
Whitney is calling Twister.
Oh my gosh, it's been so many years since I've watched that. And we're trying to make Frank stretch. We got to make him stretch. Bridesmaids. Think Bridesmaids.
But don't look up would be an interesting. So that's like the early choice. Don't look up.
Don't look up's early choice. And we could do the 22nd. I think Earth Day's on the 20th, right?
Yeah, the 22nd. Hang on, I'll go to that.
Saturday. Or Sunday, sorry. We do Sunday. So
the 23rd.
23rd. Yeah.
Yeah, you do the 23rd. Yeah.
Do it.
That works.
And I will give you an official announcement in the next 3 days.
Yes. And I'll announce it on the new Facebook page.
Yay.
People out there, follow I Want My TV Now on Facebook, because there, I believe it's finally going live. I see somebody liked it on Facebook. So hopefully it's live, because my Facebook account is like Fort Knox. So people were not able to watch it live. So I had to create a Facebook page so people could watch this live on there. I'm also going live on Twitch as well, but I don't know if people follow me on Twitch. But yeah, there's that. And Sarah, people have been wanting to know your socials. Where can they follow you on Twitter and Instagram?
Instagram is District Doula. That's District and Doula, Doula.
Yes. And any Twitter account?
Not one that I've used since college. So I would say no, because it's pretty embarrassing when you go read it. But I'm an avid Instagrammer.
I have seen the Twitter. It cracks me up because you've used it sort of as a customer service, which I kind of like.
Oh, okay. So it's like very embarrassing. I'm drunk tweets from college, and like I'm really pissed at this customer service tweet. So it's real riveting content out there.
Okay, but follow her on Instagram. She's very active on there.
Yes.
And I like what Whitney said. Whitney says,
Frank has seen everything.
I see everything.
Just like Mike Myers, he's always there.
It's okay because I'm a super fan. I got the mask. I got some action figures. I have like a Laurie Strode and a Dr. Loomis.
Love it.
Great.
Cool. So 23rd, Earth Day, very loose theme.
Yes, very loose.
It's gonna be announced. To be continued.
Yes, TBA, to be announced. Yeah.
All right.
So, and also I want to plug next week. Next week I have a guest, Richard Jackson. We're going to talk about all the original Planet of the Apes movies. I've been wanting to do that for so long with Richard Jackson. And finally I could do that. We could talk about Planet of the Apes, Beneath the Planet of the Apes, Escape from Planet of the Apes, Conquest of Planet of the Apes, and Beneath the Planet of the Apes. Not the new ones. Not the new ones.
Except those. Not the new apes. The old apes.
Mm-hmm. Old ape.
Got it.
We go ape. We go ape. So thank you for tuning in, guys. This is great. And it actually went a little longer than last week. I'm kind of shocked, right? If that was going to be an hour.
It was our favorite movies. We had so much to talk about.
There's so much to talk about. So much to discuss.
So much activities.
So many activities. Oh my God. I was going to say, I just watched a bunch of clips of Danny McBride doing improv with Will Ferrell. Just cracks me up. It's the Eastbound and Down. He just talks about the plums, and let Gabriel watch. Let the boy watch. All right. Anyway, thank you guys for tuning in. This has been great. Thank you, Whitney. Thank you, Sister Ritza. Maybe one day we'll watch Fern Gully. Maybe one day.
Maybe this month. We'll see.
Okay.
Okay.
Bye-bye.